This was a Friday. Several religious leaders came here to offer pastoral care to the people inside that building. Many of them were arrested. Many more of them were abused. Coming to the stage now, we have Dr. Reverend Beth Johnson, who was here that day and who recently did a presentation on Operation Midway Blitz to some of her religious colleagues. Please welcome to the stage Dr. Reverend Beth Johnson.
Oh, here's my people. Thanks so much. Oh. Okay.
Test. There we go.
All right. Thank you so much. It's good to be here. It's good to be with you all. Some of you I know, some of you I don't know. That's the refrain today. I'm going to speak some about my experience, and then I have a statement from a colleague who was also with us here on November 14th. I was first in front of that building on August 31st. It was just before, it was the Labor Day weekend, and some of us gathered to protest, to pray, to witness. And I've been here at Broadview almost every week since on Fridays, so that's why I don't know a lot of you. Probably not as much recently the past couple of months, but my first experience with ISP was on Harvard after the governor was ostensibly sending ISP, as we've heard, to protect protesters. Kristi Nome and Bobino the clowns were having a press conference. And we were lining the sidewalk, lining the curb. We were not in the street. We weren't doing anything. And ISP were facing us with batons. There was absolutely no reason for that because we weren't doing anything that was violating the zone that we were supposed to be in. And then Bovino and ICE agents decided to parade down the street. And at that point, we were pushed back onto the grass with batons. People were injured at that time. And we know what it's been like here with the increase of the violence that we've seen and heard here from ISP. So on November 14th, as you've heard, and well, you probably know that faith leaders have been holding various, you're going to hear some about that, various rituals and ceremonies and opportunities to witness to our beloveds who were kidnapped and detained. So on November 14th, we stepped into the street. After a beautiful ritual, we stepped off the curb and we were met with incredible force and incredible violence. I was standing next to Reverend Dr. Michael Wolf. We were arm in arm. We were both pushed to the ground twice. I was punched in the face. I had bruises for months. And we know what happened to Dr. Wolf. He was taken into custody and brutally assaulted. I'm almost done with my piece of it, which is basically that I was not among the people arrested. Friends were. One of my friends had a concussion and needed to take time off work. These are the stories that we're hearing about the brutality of the Illinois State Police, who we've heard were ostensibly sent to help protect us. And that's, I was one of some faith leaders who met with the governor's office, detailing what had happened. The only thing apparently that came out of that is this protest zone was opened up. And that was the result of that. I'm going to read a statement from my colleague, Reverend Eileen Wiviat. She's a Unitarian Universalist minister in the Chicago area. She says, I've attended organized vigils, actions, and protests at the Broadview Detention Center from the middle of September to November 14th. She states she didn't witness or experience violence or arrest during her first 4 times. And on November 14th, she, along with many of us, took part in the action that we described. We were there to ask for permission to enter the facility, to offer prayer to those detained. And again, we were denied. Now, I want to add that there were numerous attempts and petitions to be able for faith leaders to go into Broadview to minister to the people there, to our Catholic siblings attempted to bring communion. So these were ongoing attempts that we were made for those detainees, those prisoners, to be able to receive care and pastoral care. There was a prayerful interfaith demonstration against the human rights violations. And at that time, we heard firsthand accounts of the violations happening inside, the despicable conditions, the lack of beds, toilets, adequate personal care products, food or water, people being denied their medication, people in that facility, which is meant to be a processing center, being detained for days, weeks, and completely denied any sort of dignity and any sort of rights. When the request to enter the building was denied, several of us locked arms and stepped into the street. Reverend Eileen writes, I, along with several others, were carrying a banner that we meant to unfold and to also use as a barrier against any violence. We weren't prepared for the immediate and fierce response from the Illinois State Police, along with Cook County, who within seconds ran toward us and began pushing us hard with their clubs. They forced us off the dead-end street into this narrow strip of grass. They continued pushing, jabbing, and hitting people over the head. One friend had a club pressed against her neck. I had bruises all over my chest and arms, she states. They started grabbing people to her right and to her left. And she first saw Reverend Michael Wolf, who was 2 people to her right. He was grabbed and thrown down to the ground. Another colleague pulled hard by the neck. That was actually me. And disappeared into the ground. Reverend Michael was arrested and hurt. There was no warning. There was no request to step back. There was no chance for us to comply. And there has been no apology or acknowledgement of wrongdoing. She acknowledges she was not arrested that day, but 21 people were. The first reports that came from the press, because you remember at that time, that's all we had been heard. That was the protest. I'm going to add that they hurt themselves. But this is where we were crawling over themselves in order to hurt hundreds of people behind us. This was completely nonviolent. There was nowhere for us to go. And the remarks from the mayor of Broadview and used them to jab into the crowd. Beyond just singing and praying and trying to speak to them. Outside agitators, trying to look them in the eyes, that we were not peaceful, and there was nothing that could be further from the truth. There was no mention in the reports that largely clergy and every one of us were protesting peacefully. There was no indication that the only way, yes, as she says, was that they were hurt was by their exerting their violence. Every video of the state police shows their gratuitous use of force. In my presentation to colleagues this week, I have the video and the photos of what happened to me and to others of us who were here simply praying, simply wanting to bring solace and comfort and ask for justice for our beloveds. Governor Pritzker owes it to the clergy and the citizens who've been harmed by the state police to issue a reprimand and apology. Without explicit condemnation of their actions, there can be no public trust. And I would say at this point, it would take a whole lot for there to be any trust restored. I'm going to invite you to take a breath with me right now. Holding all that we hold. Remembering that the breath connects us each to each and to all that was ever has been. Beloved, remember when we breathe in, we aspire. When we breathe out, we inspire. When we would breathe together, we conspire. Let us continue to use our breath, and with each breath, do what we need to do to ensure that dignity, justice, righteousness, and compassion prevail. It's good to be with you. Thank you for everything that you all do.